This chat tonight, I want to focus on stuff that we saw on the retreat, on the Into the Wild retreat. So Anne and Kirsty and Beth were on the retreat. So say hi. So they joined the Learning Hub from there. So it'd be quite nice to hear if you wanted to share some experiences from what I'm going to talk about tonight. But I wanted to put it up because I've spent the last couple of weeks pulling together research that people are doing at the moment, and some research that I know researchers are doing that they haven't published yet. So I wanted to talk to them about what they're finding, because what we saw, especially on that first day of the retreat, but actually all the way through, like, went against what we're being told in research, in recent research. And it opens other doors and other possibilities in a way that haven't been demonstrated anywhere else, which is quite exciting. So what I thought I'd do is just talk you through what actually happened on the beach and what we noticed and what the implications are for equine welfare, but also for horse-human relationships going forward. So we talked a little bit about this Clara study, which was published in 2024. And what we saw on the beach, I think, really genuinely challenges some of those assumptions in that current scientific literature, specifically around what horses are capable of when we give them those conditions to be themselves. Do you like your picture, Anne? Lovely little Bonnie. Okay, so quick overview. You all kind of know the herd now, but let's just do a quick run through. So 3 Shetland ponies, Bonnie, who's my older mare, Pixie, her daughter, and Alossa, my only boy. So their management is based on the 5 domains model and this TLNO framework that we chatted about last month. So unrestricted movement, stable social group, varied terrain. When they're out free roaming, there's no food competition, there's enough for everybody. And so this isn't just a background. Their lifestyle, the way we've built it for them, that's a primary mechanism behind everything else we observed. So the discussion is about how much does that baseline, that positive affective state baseline, impact the reason why we saw what we saw on the retreat. The key point really is that they've lived in these conditions that consistently fulfill their intrinsic motivational states. And that's what the TLNO framework, which got produced this year, that's proposes that this neurobiological distinction from conventional management is not just a welfare nicety, it actually enables another level of neurobiological communication and distinction. Okay, so this is significant because all the other research we have on bidirectional physiological coupling, this point where horses and humans sync their or influence each other's autonomic nervous systems, all the other studies are done in laboratory conditions. The Clara study in 2024 showed this coupling between horses and humans for the first time, but it was done in stables with very constricted protocols. So if the horse moved away when the person was pushing, the person had to stay with them. They couldn't allow them to move away. And the people were told not to make eye contact and be very still and not interact. So which were parameters they had to use for the study to be valid, but it has an impact on results. So the significant thing is we didn't have those restrictions placed upon this environment. So the ponies had complete free roam of complete freedom of movement across this familiar landscape, the beach that they knew well. All the people were told to let the ponies initiate all contact. So don't touch a pony unless they touch you. Sometimes this was taken to the extreme. Nobody wanted to touch pony, but that's fine because the ponies kind of led the way with that, and I think that actually really helped as the weekend progressed. But no other direction was given, so I didn't give any other instructions about posture or gaze or behaviour. So both sides of that interaction had their social engagement systems fully available. They weren't restricted in any way other than don't touch unless they touch you. Oh, lovely picture. So this was after just a couple of minutes on the beach when the ponies were starting to really introduce. So this initial instructions of you're kind of free to do what you want, just don't initiate contact. This means that the herd, when we go out on the beach normally, they reliably produce distinctive behavioural signatures depending on the context. So when we go out, they will either say to me, okay, we're up for a walk, and they're all high energy and they all start walking and I start walking with them, or they start grazing straight away, or they come for this co-regulation, this connection, or they want to actively participate in some other way. So when we got out there, we just sat on the rocks and so we're just going to wait and see what they want to do. What are they most motivated to do? I thought they're either going to eat or they're going to take us off on a walk, but they didn't. What we saw from that very first moment was that co-regulation predictor, that reduced locomotive arousal, so reduced movement and excitement. Their breathing rates deepened, which I saw from Bonnie from the very beginning, and they started to orientate towards people rather than the environment. So Pixanowski kind of went off for a little munch, but Bonnie deliberately went to each person. So the ponies had classified that context before individual interaction had even begun. They decided that this was happening, in particular bonbons. So Bonnie, I got quite excited. I was saying to Keely, who was doing our photography and filming for us, to photograph that, photograph that, photograph that. Because what she did was she went from person to person, really deliberately, systematically making her way around, standing close to them and breathing them in. So the simple explanation, so if we look at the research, the simple explanation for what Bonnie was doing in that moment is that she was reading the people around her. So she was picking up on subtle physical signals like posture, like facial expressions. So we know that horses connect emotions to different facial expressions. So they know that if a person looks angry, then they feel slightly concerned about that person and they keep their distance. So we know they recognize facial expressions. And Bonnie moved towards them to address that, not randomly, not subconsciously, but consciously, and not out of curiosity, but as a directed pro-social act. She was actively trying to draw everyone's affected states together, balance, in effect, everybody's nervous systems. That's entirely consistent with what we know about affiliative behaviours within horse herds, where socially confident individuals will move towards tension and offer proximity to reduce it. And that's what it would appear Bonnie was doing, but not with other horses across species. And this suggests that horses in positive affective states, so who are feeling good about themselves and their lives, both in that moment and within their general life, may actively seek co-regulation partners. And the selection criteria isn't familiarity or task association, it's a real-time autonomic state. So how those people are feeling in that moment. But the following day, so Pixie, she's actually leaning on my bum in this example. She stayed very, very close. But the following day, it was really interesting. And the day after that, because what happened was Pixie changed. She started to actively seek out the people that Bonnie focused on the day before, almost obsessively. Now, one of the things that horses do to build social contact, social connection within a herd is synchronicity of movement. So they'll move together, they'll both graze at the same time, they'll face the same direction, their energy will match. So synchronicity is a big part of cohesion within a herd. Look at the feet in this picture. Look at Zoe's foot and Pixie's foot. And their body positions, head down, head down. This isn't a one-off picture. I have got many, many, many pictures of Pixie moving with exactly the same synchronicity or standing with exactly the same synchronicity as certain people within the group. In this, so this was day 2 and in day 3. And when you start to analyze those individual pictures at that moment, it becomes really, really clear that the synchronicity is starting to play a really solid part in her trying to connect with people. Are you happy to share?
I think so. Just stop me if I go on too long.
That's okay. You're right.
So when we first got to the beach, I deliberately took myself off, like onto the perimeter as far as possible. And Bonnie came straight over and chose to kind of regulate me, which I found like really interesting, because I would have thought that because I was saying like, nobody come near me, stay away, that it would have the opposite effect. So I found that really interesting.
I kind of went, no, I think I want more space. And I went right out on the edge of the rocks, and I was kind of sitting there. And I was just like kind of observing ponies and observing the group and just taking it all in. And next thing, Bonnie was standing like with her toes on the edge of the sand and kind of going, I'm not going up there. And she's like looking at me like, but I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
And so that was the photo you have there where I'm kind of, I've come down off the rocks. I've been summoned off the rocks.
That's yeah, that's a really good point, that you don't need, like the Scottish Highlands, to give agency, as long as the horses know that when I'm in this space, people aren't going to come and harass me or touch me or do anything. I can retreat to this space. When I'm in this space and I can interact, that gives them choice, control and challenge over that situation, just as much as being in a completely unfenced area. So it's directly relatable to what we're doing day to day. It's beautiful. Thank you. Let me share that one. And it is right, you don't realize it, do you? But they take you away from. And I think this is the really important shift in equine assisted work, is that we don't have to do stuff. We just have to be, and then they will actively change our nervous systems as long as they are regulated, happy, have agency in the whole thing. And I think it's a really exciting shift going forward. So I think it'd be really good, but also just looking at it in terms of our individual horse human relationships, what it means for people who've got horses just in, pleasure horses that they want to be with. How do we shift that that relationship from the traditional horse rider relationship to something much deeper that's enabling for our horses? I think it's very exciting stuff. So to find out more about our force-free horse-led approach and to join this community of evolving equine advocates, click on the link below and we'll take you to the rest of the information. See you in there.